All right, I am super excited to kick off another episode of the Build It Better podcast, and I've been waiting to have you as a guest. So this is something we've been talking about kind of for a couple months, and so Angela Kristen Taylor joining me here live in our separated studios. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chuck. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You know, one of the things I noticed immediately for those of you watching the video portion of this is how freaky it is that we have the exact same artwork in our offices. Have you noticed that? Yeah. So it's just funny. Like I just added this. Can you see the same? It's the same.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
very, very close.
Yeah. So it was just a bare wall for a long time, but those of you now can see that it's my 6-year-old daughter's drawing, which
That's awesome.
we had to spice it up a little bit in here, spruce it up a little bit in here. But welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. We've been talking about this for a little while, so it's exciting to finally be making it happen.
Well, I'm excited too. I think that, you fit for what I'm looking for people that I want to talk to in this venue, in this podcast, right? Like it's a personal and professional development podcast. And
Sure.
It's talking about building things better. And,
Yeah.
you've been my real estate coach here for a little while. And so I thought it'd be a good fit, but I'm just excited to talk to you about it. So take a minute, introduce yourself to everybody. Let them know who you are.
Okay. So Angela Kristen Taylor. I've been in real estate for almost 27 years. This is year 27.
All right.
I've been coaching agents for 17 years. I have 2 barking dogs.
That's great.
One that's barking right now, one that's laying on the sofa staring at the barking one going, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, let's just acknowledge it right here, right? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. I'm in a guest bedroom office in Raleigh, North Carolina. Look at that dog. You're in your office in Georgia, right?
Yeah, just outside of Atlanta.
Right. And so I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old outside my door, which could, bust open any moment.
Yep.
You've got a young son.
I have a 6-year-old upstairs and I have a 17-year-old that's on the top level, but she probably, I'm not worried about her busting in here. So
it is what it is. And we're going to have some fun with it. So everybody that's listening, I'm sure can relate. And this will be like our own little time capsule for COVID-19.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, so you've been coaching, you've been in real estate for a number of years. Talk to me a little bit about kind of how you evolved from, what you were doing in real estate into coaching or how that touched you.
Sorry. He is just all kinds of mouthy right now. So basically I started out as a real estate investor. Bought my first house when I was 19 and it was a fixer-upper. And so, of course, because it was like all I could afford, right? Yeah. So bought a fixer-upper house when I was 19, fixed it up, loved the process, and decided to do it again. So by the time I was 22, I owned 4 homes. I was renting out 3 of them and managing them all myself. And so I figured, let me get a real estate license. So I did. And then from there, went to working as a realtor and then realized that I really liked, no, I take that back. I lied. I started working as an assistant to realtors. I enjoyed that, but I was intending on being a realtor, which is what I did. Got my real estate license, became a realtor, and then realized that I liked working with the realtors more than I liked being a realtor. But I didn't want to be an assistant. So I was still working as a realtor, but decided I was just going to shut it down because I had little kids at that point and wanted to kind of do my own thing. And so I was just being a mom and going to moms groups, and I didn't have to work at being a realtor anymore because the moms groups kept feeding me business and feeding me leads. And so I kind of had that going and then wanted to work from home. So how could I make that happen? And so I started doing marketing work for realtors. This was back in 1999. So basically setting myself up as a virtual assistant back then, and then did that until about 2003. I had 10 people working underneath me. They were doing all of the actual work for the agents. And I was just sitting on the phone talking agents through their problems and thinking it was customer service. And it turned out that that was kind of my first foray into coaching. And so that was 2003 that I started making that official. And so now here we are at 2020. And so since then I have, I've coached realtors all over this side of the world. So like all the way up to all the way down. And then I've worked as a consultant to industries in the real estate companies in the real estate industry, like the vendor services and things like that all over the world.
Okay.
Helping them break into the US market, things like that. I've written for real estate magazines. I've been a speaker at big real estate shows. And funny enough, now, in the last couple of years, really, it's branched out from being just realtors to being entrepreneurs with a focus on people who are kind of doing it independently on their own. So like the solopreneur, trying to break out and create a business for themselves out of nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So you're working with people that are outside of the real estate industry now. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Yeah. Does there seem to be any common thread among them, like as far as maybe industry goes, or I'm sure there is as far as personality goes and needs
sure.
and mindset and things like that, but are they spread out across all different industries, or who do you typically see?
So they are spread out across different industries, but I'll say a lot of them tend to be in a very independent role where they're either in some sort of like coaching or wellness profession or sales. So although that being said, I have an art teacher and and who's trying to go from being a teacher to being a teacher online for, and creating art classes for kids everywhere. So, yeah. I mean, it's really just people who are independent and trying to create a business or sell something, service or product or whatever, and make a real business out of it and be able to work from home and support their families and maybe even create passive income streams.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there like one common thing? There's probably a number, but is there like one thing that like is like, yep, every single person you work with, they've all got a version of it?
Yeah. So really what the one thing that is predominant over anything else is coming from a space of my life is overwhelming. I am loaded full of chaos, and I want to figure out how to create calm in my life and balance between what I'm doing in the world and what I'm doing at home. And really what that relates to, and my work as a productivity coach really ties into, is that productivity is rooted in emotion, right? And so when people are coming to me looking for coaching, it's typically because they're looking for a way to do the things that they know they're supposed to be doing, but maybe aren't quite doing those things. And so it's starting to dig into the root of why they're not doing those things. And then that uncovers all kinds of other issues. Yeah. And it's working through those.
Do you feel that balance in the general sense of the word is actually a feasible goal for somebody looking to start a business? Is balance actually, like, I think we all want it, but for somebody that wants to start their own business, is balance achievable, or should there be something that's out of balance in that beginning time?
I think that balance is a relative term. And the reason that I say that is because, there are some people who need to withdraw for large periods of time in order to achieve balance for them. And there are some people who need to stay active for large amounts of time in order to achieve balance. So I think balance is something that means that internally you feel calm, you feel relaxed, you feel happy, you feel content. And so you can be very motivated and driven and have these big goals and still feel calm inside of yourself, calmly knowing that you're taking the steps you need to take to get to that goal, calmly relaxed in your off time and spending time in doing whatever you enjoy doing, and that's spending time with your family or a partner or spending time alone, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that balance is something that is absolutely achievable, but you first have to figure out what balance looks like for you.
Yeah. Well, it's like defining success. You know, I believe people have got to, you've got to put your definition on it before you know if you're going to achieve it or not, or if you have
Exactly.
achieved it or not, right?
Yeah,
And so I do think it
absolutely.
means different things to different people. I can see that. So
Yeah.
you've worked with me a little bit. So how's my balance?
Yeah.
Am I there?
Yeah, you know what? I think you're doing pretty good. And the reason that I think you're doing so well is because you know what you need to have in your life to feel good.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you get out of whack in even a little way, you like you see it, you're aware of it, and you like snap back into place with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome about you. Absolutely. So yeah,
Working on it.
you got it.
Working on it. Sweet. So what's your, what's the, what do you like most about coaching? What do you like most about?
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's the reward of seeing someone realize that it doesn't have to be so complicated, that it really can just be simple. And then I think there's another piece to it that is the brainstorming, when they finally get to understand like what the base is that they're trying to achieve in their life and why they want to achieve it, and understanding where that comes from. Like that's like this eureka wonderful moment where it's like it's simplicity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once they get there, it's saying, okay, now what do you want to create? What do you want to build? And then brainstorming with them to figure out what that looks like. And like it's almost like you're building this dream and then creating the steps it's going to take to get to it.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. And I love being able to guide people through that process and also helping them see how one thing in their life, like building their business, is connected to every other piece of their life. And a lot of people don't realize that. They don't see how it all connects. So I love kind of waking them up to that fact.
Yeah. And it's cool when you wake up to that fact and you realize that. So I can speak on that side of it. I have a lot of people that have been on my podcast as guests that are coaches. I have a lot of people that listen to my podcast that utilize coaches. I believe in coaching, tremendously, because if somebody wants to go from one level, that's going to be relative to the next level, whatever that means for them, often there's a blind spot or something that they're not seeing or not knowing on how to get there. So I think coaching is a great opportunity to have some additional perspective, to have some additional guidance, have somebody to mastermind with, bounce ideas off of, whatever it is. So I believe that it's super necessary. That being said, I'm seeing a lot of people get into the coaching industry lately, in all sorts of different industries. It seems to be like, I don't want to say the go-to work from home opportunity, but I think a lot of people are doing it. What do you feel about that? And what's it doing for the industry as a whole? Is it a good thing? Is it not a good thing? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I think there's several different facets of this. I'll probably forget some as I'm going through it, but I think part of it is education and training, and that as we grow and expand as people, we naturally want to share what we've learned with others. And I think that there is a huge aspect to coaching that is sharing what you've learned, sharing your wisdom, right? And I think there's also a piece that is, a lot of times, especially coaches when they're starting out, that they have something inside of themselves that they need or want to heal. Okay. And so in coaching others, through coaching others, they tend to attract the same type of person that they are. And so in helping other people heal, they end up healing themselves, because sometimes they can't see their way through something until they've seen someone else through the same thing.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
That. Totally can see that.
Yeah.
Totally see that. Yep.
So it's very cool. So I will say that there are a ton of different coaching certification programs now. There weren't things like that when I started out. And so when it comes to coaching, I've gotten a couple of certifications, but only in the last few years. where, my experience in coaching goes well beyond that. And so like now there's even more certifications that I'm like, wow, I might want to take that one, or I might want to take that one, and not for any other reason than maybe I'll learn something new, And I think that, people who are getting into the industry now, I don't feel like it's saturating the industry, because I feel like there are so many people today who need to be healed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And there's so many different, like you said, coaching's kind of coming at us from all different areas. So being able to live in a world where there is support for us in every area of our life, like that's a huge thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. So yeah. I think it's great that there's so many people in the industry. I think that there are certainly people in the industry who maybe are diving into this without thinking about it, maybe diving in quite before they're ready. But you know what? I did too. And the first people that I coached, I wasn't coaching intentionally. I wasn't trying to do it. I was just trying to help them through their problems. And they felt that they got something from it. So even as a brand new person, knowing nothing, no certifications whatsoever, having never done it before, I was able to do it successfully where somebody was happy with the result, Yep. So I think that there are a lot of people who are naturally able to guide people towards what they want, or, some of the people that call themselves coaches are really trainers in some way, and not necessarily coaches, but trainers.
Yeah.
And they're calling it the same thing.
If you were to think about all the people you've coached in your 25 years now, is that right?
17 coaching,
17 years
27
coaching.
in real estate.
If you were to think about all the people you've coached in the last 17 years
Mm-hmm.
and rank them in order of awesomeness, who would be number 2 after me?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I know client confidentiality. You probably don't need to go into that. So we'll move ahead. Who's been the most influential coach in your life, whether like directly coaching you, maybe a mentor from afar, but who's had a big impact in your life?
Gosh, you know what? I've had a lot of different coaches, and I've taken lots of programs and things like that. Some that were, like I said, certifications, and some that weren't. But I'll say that I think the people that have had the most impact on me and taught me the most were people that I've read their books, and I love to read. And, people that I've gotten so much of an impact from are, if you look at this bookshelf right there, like that's just one. I've got another one on the other side, but that bookshelf, like if you went over there and read the authors, like those are my people.
Yeah. I love it.
So many people. Wayne Dyer is a big one. I've loved his stuff for a very long time. Trying to think some of the other ones that are Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey, huge. Just understanding that whole process. It's not just about storytelling. But it is kind of like people's lives and where they're going, where they came from. Heather Ashamara, who wrote the Warrior Goddess Tribe, Warrior Goddess Training, loved her stuff. Don Miguel Ruiz with the 4 Agreements. I could go on. I just have so many different authors and have had such a huge, Dale Carnegie even, going back, I've got some of his books on my shelf, and there's just so much that I've taken away from each of those and been able to, I guess a good way to put it is I look at myself as a filter, and that it's like if I had a big funnel on top of my head and I pour in all these books and trainings and classes and everything, and then it just kind of funnels out through my experience, through my perspective. And, that's another reason why it's a good thing that there's so many coaches in the world right now.
Yeah.
And we each have our own experience and perspective, and then we take information in, and it comes out in a new way with a new thought process behind it. And so we're able to, the people who wrote these books have created this huge ripple effect in all of us.
I think most of the people that listen to my podcast, watch these videos, I think most of them are achievers in some sense of the
Mm-hmm.
world. They're striving for something different, something more.
Sure.
They're interested in personal and professional growth. I I venture to guess I'd find it hard for you to listen to this with that being the number one focus in here if that didn't appeal to you in some way. But maybe there's somebody listening right now that doesn't have goals that they're working towards right now, isn't a big reader, isn't working with a coach, isn't striving towards something. Um, and I'm guessing you work with a lot of achievers, but if you were to speak to somebody that maybe is content right now,
Mm-hmm.
is there a way to to help people maybe open their minds, or to dream a little bit bigger, or to set goals, or to work towards something that maybe haven't done that before?
Yeah. So remember what I said before about balance being a relative term?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you said success is a relative term,
True.
right? So what I found is that there are certain people in the world who want to always be growing, always be growing. And there are certain people in the world who, yeah, I'm there with you, right?
Mhm.
But there are certain people in the world who don't want to do that, you know? And it's my ex-husband's like that. One of my sons is like that, you know? And so it's just one of those things where you look at them and as being me, right? I'm always pushing, driving, like, let's go, let's move forward, let's do this, let's do that, you know? And I found that my personality type being that kind of driver, that I've had to kind of put my foot on the brakes with that, with them, simply because they are so happy and content just being where they are, that in consistently pushing them to be something that they're not makes them feel like they're not valued enough, or they're not valuable as an individual. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that there's some people out in the world who are just content to be
I think
where they
most,
are.
if I think about
You
it,
think most?
I think, I
It could
mean,
be. My perspective is skewed because of the
that's
people
it.
I know. I feel like we're always trying to go that way, right?
I think we know what we see and what we surround ourselves with.
Mm-hmm.
And if I think back to the course of my life, I can almost pinpoint a moment where the first time I was introduced to Jim Rohn.
Mm-hmm.
And that was only 7, 8 years ago. And up
Yeah.
until that point, personal growth didn't exist. I didn't know anything about it. And I was
Yeah.
surrounded by like-minded people. We were all the
Mm-hmm.
same. And so it was when all of a sudden I was introduced to Jim Rohn, my paradigm shifted. Like
Yeah.
in me changed. And then I started aligning myself with other people that thought that way.
Yes. But see, that's a different kind of person. That's someone who is searching, but doesn't know what they're searching for yet. They just feel like they're incomplete.
Yeah.
And I was like that as a kid. I was completely like that as a kid. And I would get interested in these topics and absorb everything I could on them, you know? And it was really had nothing to do with school. Right? I hated
Right.
school and loved to learn. But I would absorb anything I could on the topics that I was interested in. And I had a friend of mine in 8th grade whose his father was like a world traveler and like was friends with Jacques Cousteau, you know, and he had been, and his mom was like a total flower child, you know, and he kind of opened me up to ideas and authors and music and things that I had never heard of before, right? And so all of a sudden, I was reading Still Life with Woodpecker and listening to Bob Marley, you know. So
Yeah.
it was a different world, and I kind of I feel like my mind expanded and opened up, drug free, but my mind
Well done.
expanded and opened up, and I started to explore more of what was around me and broke free from just the things that they were just teaching in school, and I happened to stumble upon a topic that I was interested in. Now I was going out and looking for topics. I was looking for more information. And, I used to go to the library all the time and check out like 15 books, and just everything, I would just kind of just digest it all. But I think that someone who is searching is going to have a moment in their lives, like what you're saying or what I'm saying, where it shifted. Like all of a sudden we were walking around the dark and all of a sudden somebody switched on the light and we're like, wow, I can see,
Yeah,
know? But there are other people out there in the world that I feel like they're so happy where they're at. And for a time I used to think that, well, they're stumbling around in the dark and they need somebody to turn that light on for them. And I was trying to be that person. Right. But what I've had to come to terms with is that they're not stumbling around in the dark. They're walking around in their own light and they're happy there.
Yeah.
That's
true. That's a good point. I think I was trying to be that person before too, that trying to turn on the light for everybody. And there was some ego involved in that needed to go away.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the hardest things that people like us have to become aware of, is that not everybody is like us,
Probably good.
And we have to know when it's okay and when it's not, how to identify someone who's searching versus someone who's content to just be where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. That's good stuff. So in your business right now, what's something you're most excited about? Like, what are you working on right now that just gets you like fired up?
Yeah. So I am really, really excited about this project that I've been working on. It's funny because the idea came to me about 4 years ago, and it's been in under development for the last year and a half. And we're at a point now where we're almost ready to start the launch process for it. So that's exciting. So basically what we've done is, how everybody, like coaches, right? We have a program, some kind of a program.
Yep.
Well, I took what I thought was going to be a program and partnered with other coaches who were experts in a variety of different areas. And remember how I said like productivity is rooted in emotion and affects every area of our life, right? It affects how we spend our money. It affects how we eat. It affects how we live our life and engage in relationships with others. It affects how we run our business and how productive we are with our time and how organized we are. It affects all those areas, right? So I partnered with other coaches in all those topic areas. Wow. And then we put together a virtual co-working space. So this is a software. It's not my software. I happened to be beta testing this software and thought, wow, this makes total sense. We're going to put our program in here. So we literally have, like, if you can imagine like the typical brick and mortar co-working space, now put it in video game terms, and that's what we have. So you have this kind of like a video game, but it's an office floor with like the common area sofas and big screens on the wall and things like that. And we have 36 private offices and 2 meeting rooms and 2 boardrooms in this space. It's our private space. And there's 6 coaches, and there are, I think, like 10 different service professionals now that somebody building a business would need, like a copywriter and a web designer and a logo graphic designer and a, what else do we have in there? Video editor, virtual assistant, stuff like that. And we put all this together in one space for people who are building a business on their own. And, one of the hardest things about building a business on your own is that usually you're around a bunch of people that have a day job, like a 9-to-5. And they're looking at you like you're insane trying to build some business and be independent and on your own. And they're like, that's a dream that other people achieve, but not you, right? And so they're always trying to bring that person down to reality. Kind of like what we were saying, like we always try to be that person that's turning on the light for everybody else. Well, these are other people that are trying to save you, right? Yeah. By shutting yours off.
They're trying to bring you to their reality.
Yes, exactly. And so when you're surrounded by people like that, and you have a big goal and a big dream and a big idea, it's hard to be surrounded by those people and have no support. So we created this membership for people like that, solopreneurs, to come in and have support from a community of other people who are just like them, with coaches and support service professionals, where they can come and co-work together, that they can have themes to their co-working blocks and classes and workshops, and
That's
be
so
able to
cool.
talk to these people and do all of that every day.
I love that. That is so cool. I'm totally picturing it right now too, because
It's
yeah, that would
totally
be.
like a video game, but where you go to work.
Aha.
Yeah.
I love it. What a great idea. So you've been working on this for a year and a half now, and you're
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. So when's the launch? When's it happening?
Well, our website should be officially complete at the end of May.
Okay,
So
wow.
we're only a few weeks away from it. And right now we have a coming soon page up, where if somebody is interested in staying up to date with what's going on and when our launch is, they can put their email address in there and they'll be updated with kind of like our launch status.
Is that
So
something you can tell us about now, or is it?
yeah,
Okay.
it's thelimitlesscollaborative.com. So thelimitlesscollaborative.com, they can go there, register to get on the wait list for the launch, and they'll get a little email that tells a little bit more about it. And that's about it. We
I love that.
should be going by the end of the month. We've been in beta for 2.5 months now with a group of beta testers, and we have a Facebook group going and themed co-working blocks, and yeah, and we're all working in the space every day, so it's awesome.
That's cool. I love it. Do you ever get trapped in the virtual co-working space and can't get out because you think does that turn into life now? Is it kind of like Matrixy?
No, but what's funny is that sometimes people lock their office door on accident, and they're able to, like, there's a little glitch occasionally where they're able to leave, but they lock the door behind them, and then they can't get back in. And so there's a feature where you can climb. And at first it was a hack. You had to know like the term to do it. But now they made it like a permanent fixture where you can climb, and it allows you to climb through your glass door of your office so that you can get in and unlock it.
And no
Yeah.
kidding. I would do that on purpose every time.
Yeah, it's funny.
I love that. All right. Well, I can't wait to see this when it's official. So super excited for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited to do it. It's been a long time coming, and I think that a lot of times for people, it's hard for them to visualize what that would look like or what it would feel like.
Yeah.
And then like this morning, I was doing a themed co-working block, and I had a woman from Ireland who's one of our beta testers, who she works with women who are in like a perimenopausal state, like their body's starting to go through changes, but they don't know what all those changes are, and they're going to the doctor like, is there something wrong with me or whatever? And she didn't know, like she had some ideas of a course, but she didn't really have like a specific plan. And today, in about 30 minutes, we were able to take her through exact steps for everything she needed to do to build her audience, an idea for her to create an entire book, to create a podcast, and then launch the course after the fact when she'd built an entire audience, and how to start monetizing it right away by creating small local groups and partnering with gynecologists and the radiologists who do the mammograms and things like that, for saying, here, this woman has small groups around women who are in your stage of life, and go ahead and, give her a call, and she has groups that meet. So this way she's able to monetize it now, but build an audience online. And then by the time she releases her course, she'll be able to sell it very quickly and easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, this
So
is great. I'm excited.
it was awesome. Yeah.
I need to be part of this. I need to figure out how this is going to help. I think I got some ideas.
That's awesome. Yeah. We'd love to have you in there. It'd be great.
Yeah. Oh, this sounds great. Okay. Let's see. I got maybe another question or two here, but before I do, is there, where can people find you online? Where can people connect with you? So you gave us the website for the new.
Yeah, that's a new thing. My website is productivesouls.org. And on there, you'll find stuff about me and about my life, and lots of blog posts and things on productivity and all the things that stem from it. And there's a little bit of information on the Limitless Collaborative stuff coming soon and some of the people on our staff, but I have not been good about updating it recently because we've been putting everything into that new site. But
We give
there's
you free
definitely
pass.
ways to reach out to me there. And right up at the top, you can sign up to take a 5-day productivity challenge.
Okay, very cool. Before I ask my final question, is there anything you need to coach me on publicly in front of all these people right now that we haven't covered? Is there anything you need to call me out on? I'm an open.
Let me think. That's a really good question.
Yeah, is it good?
Yeah, it's
I
a
like
really
to throw
good
myself
question.
right under the bus and then
Okay,
jump in the
so
bus
yeah,
and
throw
laugh
yourself
myself.
under the bus. Okay, so the first thing I would say is, what have you done recently to get more people listening to your podcast?
Oh, that's a good one. So I not enough is the answer, but
Okay.
the second answer would be, part of the silver lining for me through our global pandemic lockdown
Mm-hmm.
that we're experiencing is all of my podcasts have gone to this Zoom format. So
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done a podcast in person in weeks,
Yeah.
but in doing it in this fashion, I've now got all of them on video. And so it
Yeah.
allowed me the opportunity to parlay that into a YouTube channel, which is what I was wanting to do, but was dragging my feet because of, a small budget, not being able to have the production value that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was dragging my feet. And so this allowed me to have the content that I then turned into a YouTube channel, which I've now been able to promote and gain new viewers and new listeners through that. So that's probably the one thing that
Awesome.
comes to mind right away.
Good. Okay, good. Yeah.
But the real answer is not enough.
Okay. So what would be your next step? How can you promote it to more people?
um, how can I promote this to more people? Well, I don't know. I've probably fallen into the rhythm or maybe the rut of focusing a lot on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, which is where everything is currently focused. Reaching out to more guests, more diverse guests to tap into who their
Mm-hmm.
audience is and their network so that those people can really hear the person they know on a
Mm-hmm.
podcast and feature them, having them share the episode. I'm tagging them. It's also on LinkedIn, so it's on all those
Mm-hmm.
platforms. So I think that's one step. The next step is I've been debating whether I want any sort of sponsorship involvement with this, and so I've kind
Mm-hmm.
of didn't think I wanted to go that route in the beginning, but that might open some doors to reach some more people.
Yeah.
And then also looking to slowly, maybe not slowly. Um, the last episode I did, the guest Christina brought up that there's people out there that would be willing to help with production, with whether it's interns or people that will trade services or things like that. And so really maybe finding somebody that knows how to do this better than I do, because I like this. I like the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to do any of the other stuff. I'm just figuring it out as we
Oh.
go along.
Well, I've got one of those in my space. So
You do? Wow.
I
So look at
do.
that. Look how that just segued right into that. Wow. What a coincidence.
Yep. Yep.
I love it. That's where my head was going actually when you were talking about the space. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
think I need to be in there because all these people, because, you know, I don't have, you know what, I'm going to lie. I was going to say I don't have a vision of where this podcast could go because I was trying to be all like humble and ho hum, like, oh, this is just my
No,
hobby.
I know you have big vision.
Yeah. It's hard not to. But if I could do this full time and have conversations like this and help other people find, things that turn their light on for them, or if their
Yeah.
light's already on, that helps them just find a new path or improve their path or whatever, I would do this all day long. And it's absolutely not for income at this point, like whatsoever. Maybe it would someday. And if I could find a way where I can get better, where I can have better communication style, if I'm better on a microphone, if I ask better questions, if I've got better, the production value is what it is. I think if I could do that better, that would be nice. But I think if the content's good, it doesn't matter if we're on a Zoom call or not.
No.
So if I can improve my skills with that, and then hopefully that gives a little bit of an organic growth as well. But if I can do some other things to help this go, then I would love to do way more of these than one a week. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why I have the service professionals in that space with us, is because I know that, when I was completely on my own and I didn't have a big team around me or anything, that it was really hard when I needed somebody to do one thing, like create an email signature or cut the ends off my video, things that I didn't know how to do by myself. But would be nice to have somebody do for me. And so it was always like let me go to Upwork, let me build a post, let me take 2 weeks out of my life and figure out if this person's any good after I sort through hundreds of resumes, right? And it was just always such a time suck away from everything else I was trying to do. And I realized that, people always come to me for recommendations. Who do you know who does this? Who do you know who does that? And I realized that I had built up a lot of people that I knew who did those things. So when it came to creating a space for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs to come in, that was part of it, so they're in there and they teach classes and they teach people how to do all these things for themselves. But then they're also like, hey, you want me to do it for you? I can do that. And they have a pricing structure for that. But at least it's somebody that's reputable and will do a good job, and you don't have to sort through resumes to find them,
I love that. And I think, one thing I've learned in this, my history. I was in real estate for a number of years, 12 years ago, paused it while I started a couple other businesses and a family, and now back into real estate in a sales agent role. And one of the things I've struggled with my whole journey up until now, I'm becoming a bit better at it. I'm not completely there, but is doing what I'm good at and letting other people do the other stuff.
Yeah.
Doing what I'm good at and what I like to do and letting other people do the other stuff. And because I tend to try and do it on my own. And I think part of it comes from a scarcity mindset, probably not wanting to overspend or overcommit, like budget reasons, just constantly trying to be mindful of that. But I'm getting to a point where, because like right now, this conversation, I love doing this. As soon as we're done, then I got to figure out how to, put it on, the podcast, put it out on YouTube and edit this video and make a thumbnail. Like, oh God, I hate doing that stuff. And it's going to take up like 3 hours.
Yep.
And I could do 3 more of these conversations. And so I'm getting to the point where I am, my mind is opening to finding those people, those communities where I can get help, outsource it, focus on what I'm good at, because, it's the initial thought is, well, I can save money if I do it myself, but I'm costing myself money by doing it myself.
Exactly.
Because I'm good at, otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Sorry, side note, but thanks for coaching me there.
You're welcome.
So last question, I think this is probably going to be a slam dunk for you.
Okay.
But if we're talking all this personal and professional development, what area of your life are you consciously working on right now that, you want to improve, or you want to, let's use the name of the podcast, to build it better? Where are you focusing right now?
Are you talking about in my life, build it better?
You name it. Life, business, all of it, wherever, family, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So with
what's top of your list?
With business, my build it better is that space that I've created. That's just really, really important to me. Being able to build out a space that serves these people with big dreams and no support, and being able to help them create just a huge ripple effect around the world. Like, that's my big goal there. Personally, I think that something that I always try to work on is being a better mother and having patience, which I think those two things go hand in hand. But I have 5 kids. And so 3 of them are grown and on their own now. And I have 2 left at home. And, I've been through like all these different stages with my kids and the whole quarantine thing. Like, I've been working from home for 20 years. I've been homeschooling my kids as long as that. So for me, it's like, I've done all this stuff already, but, like, my 6-year-old talks nonstop.
Yes.
My daughter was telling me yesterday, she says, he wakes me up in the middle of the night because he gets up to go to the bathroom and he's talking to himself in the bathroom. He just never stops. And if you're watching a movie, he sits there, even if he's watching it by himself. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. Oh my gosh, did you see that? Why did he do that?
I actually do that.
Oh, what happened? That's him watching a movie.
I love it.
It never stops. So patience,
Yep.
Because I'm one of those people that definitely needs to withdraw for periods of time, have quiet time so that I can find my balance. So when you have a 6-year-old that never stops,
I get it.
it's hard to find your balance in that. So it's being a really great mom and finding your balance. So right now I'm in a stage where I have accepted that I need to step away sometimes. And he's old enough where I can do that and it's okay. And so I will say, hey, honey, I'm going to go take some quiet time in my room. He's like, okay, love you, ma. And then I go upstairs, I kind of, just deep breath, let my brain just melt a little bit,
I can
And
relate.
then 15, 20 minutes later, I'm all good and I can go back there and handle some more.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. And I think everybody listening can relate to that as well. Yeah. Well, I love it. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today and being here. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, and
Sure.
fun to put a private coaching session out there for the world to hear. So thanks for playing along with me.
You're welcome. It was a lot of fun. Thanks
Yeah, I
for having
appreciate.
me here.
Of course, I appreciate it, and I will. I'll talk to you soon. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. Thanks.